They didn't shout at me. No one threw insults. No one stormed out of the room. But in many ways, the silence was louder than screaming, because in that moment, the moment they all turned their eyes toward me, I realized something brutal. They didn't need proof to believe I was guilty. They just needed someone easy to blame. My name is Eric. I'm 29 years old, and I've always been the quiet one in the family. Not the golden child, not the rebel, not the prodigy, just the youngest, the one people forgot to ask for opinions, the one expected to help carry boxes at reunions, the one who always got the couch when the beds were taken. I work in finance, ironic really considering what I was accused of. I have a stable job, live modestly in my own apartment, and try my best to show up when my family needs me. Not because they've always earned it, but because I was raised to believe that family meant something. My older brother Jason is 5 years ahead of me. Charismatic, reliable, everyone's go-to guy. And his wife, Lily, let's just say she's good at performing affection. Always sweet, always helpful, always smiling. But behind that smile, there was always a chill. I could never quite explain it, but I never felt safe around her. Like I was always one wrong word away from becoming the target of some invisible joke. Still, I never had a reason to doubt her intentions. Until the weekend, everything fell apart. It was the 40th wedding anniversary of my grandparents, the matriarch and patriarch of our family. A huge deal. We rented out their old countryside villa where generations of family memories were born. Everyone flew in. Uncles, aunts, cousins, second cousins. There was food, wine, photos, even a slideshow with grainy VHS clips from the 80s. It was the kind of weekend meant to bind families together, and for a while it felt like it worked. I laughed. I helped cook. I played card games with my little nieces. Even Lily was oddly warm to me, complimenting my career, asking about my apartment, pouring me wine like we were suddenly best friends. I didn't know why she was laying it on so thick, but I didn't think too much of it. That night, after the dinner feast, we gathered in the great room to present gifts. Tradition dictated that each family gave a card or gift, and usually some cash, to the elders. One by one, everyone placed sealed envelopes in a carved wooden box my grandfather had used since before I was born. As the youngest, I was asked to collect and store the box in the locked guest room at the end of the hall. "Take good care of that," Uncle Henry joked. "There's probably enough in there to buy a car." We all laughed. I nodded, took the box, and placed it inside the wardrobe as instructed. Locked the door, kept the key in my pocket. That night, I slept well. Too well. The next morning, everything changed. I walked into the kitchen to find hushed voices. My mother's face was pale, my grandfather's brows furrowed. Lily stood in the corner, arms folded, avoiding my gaze. "What's going on?" I asked. Everyone turned. Jason cleared his throat. "Eric, one of the envelopes is missing." "What?" I blinked. "How?" My aunt stepped forward. "My family gave your grandparents $8,000 for their anniversary. It's gone. Their card is still there, but the cash is missing." I felt like the floor had tilted. "That's impossible," I said. I locked the room. No one had the key but me. Then came the words I'll never forget, soft, measured, like a knife wrapped in lace. Lily said, "I'm not saying anything, of course, but Eric was the last person to touch the box. Maybe he misplaced it?" The air in the room tightened. I looked around. No one defended me. No one said, "That doesn't sound like Eric." No one even asked Lily why she knew the money was missing before anyone had opened the box. They just looked at me like they were already deciding how to forgive me for something I hadn't done. And in that moment, I realized something ugly. In this family, it doesn't matter what you've done. It matters who they're willing to believe. And Lily, she knew that better than anyone. They expected me to react, to shout, to protest, to deny, but I didn't. I simply said, "I didn't take it," and walked away. Because when a room full of people has already made up their minds, words won't save you, but evidence might. The rest of the morning felt like a funeral for my dignity. Conversations died when I entered the room. Lily avoided eye contact. Jason gave me that look, the one older siblings reserve for when they think you've disappointed them. My mother, she didn't say anything. That hurt the most. By afternoon, whispers had become truth in everyone's eyes, and I became a stranger in my own family. But here's the thing, when everyone believes you're guilty, you have nothing left to protect except the truth. So I started watching, listening, connecting dots no one else cared to see. The first odd thing, Lily's confidence. She wasn't just suggestive, she was rehearsed. She knew the money was gone before anyone had finished counting. Why? How? That night, while everyone went to town for dinner, I stayed behind, told them I needed rest. No one argued. Perfect. I waited until the house was empty. Then I went to the guest room, the one where the box had been stored. It was untouched. Just as I left it, I unlocked the wardrobe, opened the compartment. The cards were still inside, except one envelope had clearly been opened and resealed, sloppily. The glue was uneven, the edges frayed. I picked it up and held it to the lamp. You could still see the crease where the original money bundle had sat, but the weight was wrong, empty. I flipped the envelope. No fingerprints, obviously. Lily wasn't careless. But I noticed something else. A fine thread of light brown fabric caught in the crack of the wardrobe door. Lily's dress that night, light brown, flowing, linen. It brushed the floor, still not enough, still just suspicion. I needed more, something irrefutable. And then I remembered something Grandpa once told me years ago. This house is old, but I trust it more than I trust people. That's why I installed a little eye where no one can see. He meant a hidden camera. I ran to the bookshelf in the corner, top shelf, behind the old photo of Grandpa in uniform. And there it was, tiny, outdated, but still there. A black lens no bigger than a pebble. I rushed to his study, opened the locked drawer where I knew he kept old tech, and I found it. The recorder unit, old, dusty, still blinking, plugged it in, opened the file directory, timestamp scrolled across the screen, and then there, 1:43 a.m., the night of the celebration, I clicked play. There was no audio, just grainy black and white footage. The guest room door opened slowly. Lily stepped inside. She looked around, closed the door gently behind her, walked to the wardrobe, opened it, took out the box, opened the envelopes, counted each one, then stopped, pulled one out, removed the bills, slipped them into her purse. No hesitation, no panic. Just routine. She resealed the envelope, placed it back, smoothed her dress, checked her reflection in the glass door, and walked out. I sat in the study for a long time, no emotion, just the cold confirmation of what I already knew. She had done it. She had taken the money and pinned it on me with a smile. I could have run to everyone with the footage right then and there, but I didn't, because now I wasn't just the accused. I was holding the truth, and I was going to choose exactly when and how it would burn. I didn't sleep that night, not from anger, not from panic, but from calculation, because now I had something far more powerful than rage, leverage. And I wasn't going to waste it. By the next morning, Lily was back to being all smiles, filling teacups, kissing babies, acting like she hadn't accused her brother-in-law of stealing $8,000. But her eyes never quite met mine. Jason was distant too. He didn't say much to me that day, mostly short nods and tight smiles. He didn't know what to believe. And in his silence, I found clarity. No one was going to clear my name for me. So I planned a dinner, just a casual family-style meal, said I wanted to thank everyone before we all went our separate ways. Most of them thought it was sweet. A few looked confused. And Lily, she looked amused. That's very mature of you, Eric, she said, touching my arm lightly. I nodded, smiled. Just want to end things on a good note. The villa had a dining room with an old flat-screen TV mounted on the wall. We usually used it for family slideshows and videos from past vacations. That night, it would show something else. While everyone gathered around the table, I slipped into Grandpa's study, plugged in the flash drive, cued the video, set the timer, and walked out like nothing had happened. Dinner began. Laughter, wine, stories from childhood. It felt almost normal, almost. I kept quiet, listened, waited. Lily was in her element, charming, bubbly, radiant in that effortless way she used to win everyone over, until the screen behind her flickered to life. At first, no one noticed. A blurry black and white feed appeared. The guest room, the night in question. I didn't say a word. Didn't point, didn't raise my voice. Just sat still and let the truth unravel. One by one, heads turned, voices trailed off. Forks froze midair, and then she appeared on the screen. Lily, plain as day, slipping into the guest room, opening the wardrobe, taking the envelope. The room went dead silent. Lily froze. Her smile dropped, her hands clenched around her fork. Jason stared at the screen, then at her. What is this? She whispered. No one answered. The footage spoke louder than any of us could. When the video ended, I stood up, walked to the TV, unplugged the flash drive, turned to face everyone. I didn't take anything, I said quietly. That's all I wanted to say. I placed the drive on the table, looked Lily dead in the eyes. You can keep the money, I added. I don't want it back. I just want everyone to know who they believed. And then I walked out. I didn't wait for Lily's excuses. I didn't need apologies. I had given them the truth. What they did with it was no longer my problem. Silence. That was all I heard after walking out of that dinner. No footsteps chasing me, no voices calling after me, no dramatic confrontations in the hallway, just the sound of my own breath and the heaviness of knowing that the truth had finally been seen. The next morning, I woke up early, packed my bags, washed my cup, cleaned my room like I'd never been there. No one was up yet, except Grandpa. He was sitting on the porch, mug in hand, staring at the mist rising over the field. He looked at me and smiled. That little lens in the bookshelf still works? I nodded. He chuckled softly. Knew I kept it for a reason. That was all he said. But that was enough. I left without saying goodbye. Not out of anger, out of peace. Because when the truth speaks for you, you don't have to shout your exit. Over the next few weeks, I expected the calls, expected apologies, explanations, some dramatic excuse from Lily. They never came, not directly. But something else happened. My mom called me one evening, voice soft. I just want you to know, I always believed in you. I didn't correct her. Didn't remind her of her silence, just said thanks, because sometimes silence is an answer, and regret, even unspoken, is its own confession. Jason never called, but I got a letter, handwritten, 3 pages. He didn't defend Lily, didn't ask me to forgive her, he just apologized. Not for her, for not standing up for me, for being a brother only when it was easy. It didn't make everything right, but it was something. The family group chat grew quieter. Lily left it a week after the dinner. No one added her back. My cousins started messaging me more. One sent me a meme about family drama. Another asked if I wanted to grab lunch sometime soon. It wasn't pity. It was reconnection. Genuine. And me, I changed too. I started walking taller, started saying no when I meant no, stopped shrinking myself to keep the peace. Because peace built on silence is just a pause before the next betrayal. At work, I stopped letting people take credit for my effort. At home, I didn't force myself to visit people who made me feel small. I didn't cut anyone off, but I adjusted the volume of their presence in my life. Most importantly, I started trusting myself again. For a while, I had doubted everything, my instincts, my worth, even my place in the family, but now I know better. I know that just because people are family doesn't mean they get to define your truth. I know that sometimes the ones who smile the hardest are the ones hiding the sharpest knives. And I know that surviving betrayal doesn't mean becoming bitter. It means becoming wiser. They never said they were sorry, and that's okay. Because I didn't need their words. I had the truth. I had myself. And for the first time in years, that was enough. If you've ever been betrayed in silence, if you've ever been blamed, then forced to smile through it, let this story remind you, truth doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just stands. Hit subscribe for stories where quiet people rise and fake ones fall without a word. There's a certain silence that follows a storm, not the eerie kind. Not the kind that waits for the next thunderclap, but the kind that lingers when the lies have been exposed, the masks have fallen, and all that remains is the truth, raw, unfiltered, undeniable. That silence is not uncomfortable. It's cleansing. After that night, no one rushed to comfort me. No one called a family meeting to clear my name. No one gathered in the kitchen to say, "We're sorry for not believing you." No grand apologies, no teary embraces, no redemption arc from anyone else. And you know what? That was fine because for the first time, I didn't need them to say anything. There was a time I would have begged for it, begged for someone to defend me, to stand in front of me and say he didn't do it, but not anymore. Now I know when you stand up for yourself, with evidence, with clarity, with quiet resolve, you stop needing others to be your voice. You become your own. In the days that followed, I didn't post about it, didn't send the video around, didn't rub it in. The truth doesn't need help staying alive. It breathes on its own. It grows in silence. And the people who needed to see it saw it. The ones who needed to feel it felt it. Jason never called, but I heard from his friend Paul a week later. He said Jason was processing. Processing? I guess it takes time to realize you married someone who could throw your own brother under a bus for money. Mom called once, said, I always knew you didn't do it. I smiled, not because I believed her, but because I didn't need to believe her anymore. I didn't need her to defend me. I didn't need anyone to. The younger cousin started texting, just simple things. Memes. Want to grab a drink sometime? Not because they pitied me, but because they remembered who I was. Because they finally saw the version of me they'd been blind to for years. And me, I felt like I could breathe again. But it wasn't just relief, it was clarity. I realized how many years I'd spent shrinking to fit the role they assigned me. The quiet one, the easy one, the one who doesn't make a scene. They loved that version of me because it never made them uncomfortable. But that Eric, he's gone. I don't raise my voice now, not because I'm scared, but because I don't need volume to be heard. I don't ask for space, I take it, and I don't explain myself to people who weren't there when I needed them. I moved out of the family system emotionally. I still show up to gatherings. Sometimes I still text back, eventually. But I don't look for validation there anymore. Because I know now, family is not who's related to you. It's who shows up when the silence is the loudest. One evening, I sat on my balcony watching the sun dip beneath the rooftops. I thought about that dinner, the faces, the silence. And for the first time, I smiled, not because I got revenge, not because I exposed someone, but because I held the line. I didn't yell, I didn't plead. I let the facts speak, and they were deafening. People like Lily, they count on chaos. They win when you lose control, when you lash out, when you make it easy for them to twist the story. But when you stay still, when you speak only when it matters, they crumble because they can't fight silence that carries weight. I know now that power doesn't come from confrontation. It comes from presence, from walking into a room and not needing to say anything because the truth arrived before you did. I still hear whispers. Family politics don't vanish overnight, but those whispers aren't about whether I did it. They're about what comes next. Because now they know who I am. And more importantly, they know what I'm not. I'm not the scapegoat, not the weak one, not the disposable name on the family tree. I am the one who stood in a room full of doubt and let the truth burn brighter than their assumptions. If you've ever been in that position, blamed, doubted, isolated, hear me, you don't need them to apologize. You don't need them to fix what they broke. You just need to see yourself clearly, to know you didn't fold, to know you didn't lie, to know you walked through the storm and didn't become the rain. You are not the version of you they invented. You are the version that survived them, and there's power in that. So if they never say sorry, let that be their burden. If they never fix it, let that be their guilt. But you walk on with peace, with power, with presence, because the truth is, I don't need anyone to defend me anymore. Not when I know exactly who I am.